What do you mean, Black Lives Matter? Black lives haven't mattered in this country since Negroes stopped working for free at the end of slavery. You ought to be talking about Black Guns Matter and start your own NRA. Call it the Negro Revolutionary Amalgamation.
Don't miss this compelling historic radio event, The Return. When Tavis Smiley converses with Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. Tuesday, February 28th, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
Excuse me, now that I have your attention, may I ask you this question? Why do you believe police brutality continues to exist in this country? Do you believe it to be a systemic problem, or should we judge police misconduct on a case-by-case basis? And what's your opinion on the best course of action to solve the problem? Well, you have come to the right place. You're listening to LA's all-new progressive talk radio station. Of the people, by the people, for the people.
Hey, I sure appreciate that.
It's KBLA Talk 1580. We got you covered round the clock. Racism, we got you. Progressive politics, we got you. Health and wellness education, we have you covered.
We're going to have to put it back in the hands of the people.
A black-owned and operated, evidence-based alternative radio station for progressive, open-minded people like you and me.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Welcome home, LA. We're all in this together.
Let's get it on.
It's KBLA Talk 1580, broadcasting from the heart of LA's Leimert Park. We've got a lot to talk about.
We are going to have to fight. We're going to have to struggle. We're going to have to struggle relentlessly to bring about the peace.
What we're going to do right here is go back.
KBLA Talk 1580 is turning up the frequency in Black History Month. Be on the lookout for some familiar faces as the Metro K line is currently wrapped in KBLA Talk 1580. Make sure you visit the KBLA Talk 1580 online store, now open for business with all kinds of fresh merch. Don't miss a single episode of The Motivator, Les Brown's month-long radio residency. You've got to be hungry. Weekdays at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. And afternoons just got real. Real people, real talk, real issues, real solutions. Be sure to check out Ariva Martin in real time on your way home, weekday afternoons from 4 to 6. Turning up the frequency all Black History Month long. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
KBLA Talk 1580 is teaming up with LA County Justice Care and Opportunity Department, along with Supervisor Holly Mitchell, to bring you a healing space, well-being, creative expression, and connection as acts of resistance. This event will take place Sunday, February 19th from 12 to 4 p.m. at Irvin Magic Johnson Park, 905 East El Segundo Boulevard in Los Angeles. All are welcome, and it's absolutely free.
There will be mental health support, interactive art, an expungement clinic, kids programming, emotional support, animal services, writing workshops, health screenings, dance classes, and employment opportunities. Join us for healing circles, free food, and 3 DJs so you can dance all day long.
It's a healing space and so much more. Sunday, February 19th at Irvin Magic Johnson Park. For more info, visit jcod.lacounty.gov. Healing together with the LA County Justice Care and Opportunities Department, Supervisor Holly Mitchell, and KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello.
Excuse me, now that I have your attention, may I ask you this question? What image comes to mind when you hear the word homeless? Do you believe it to be a big city urban problem? A problem that only affects cities like Los Angeles and New York City that have been inundated with panhandlers and tent encampments. But what causes one to become homeless? And what strategies could be implemented to assist in helping people achieve and maintain housing stability? And do you believe having access to affordable housing should be a right in this country? Well, you've come to the right place. You're listening to LA's all-new progressive talk radio station. Of the people, by the people, for the people. It's KBLA Talk 1580, and we got you covered round the clock. Racism.
We don't hate white people, we hate the oppressor, whether he be white, black, brown, or yellow.
We got you. Miseducation. We got you. Gun violence. We have you covered.
You dig what I'm saying?
A black-owned and operated, evidence-based alternative radio station for progressive, open-minded people like you and me. Welcome home, LA. We're all in this together. It's KBLA Talk 1580, broadcasting from the heart of LA's Leimert Park. We've got a lot to talk about.
Everything would be all right if everything was put back in the hands of the people.
First things first. things first, it's the DU General, Money P. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not too in serious. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tap Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis, go sis, go sis. First things first.
KBLA, Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my first thing every single day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God Almighty, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and getting it going. We have a lot to do today. I mean, it is going to be a wild and wonderful couple of days around here. I can't even explain all the things that are going on, but I will say this. Hour 1, we do local. Hour 2, we go national. Hour 3, we do a deep dive. Today and tomorrow, we have a lot of other special guests, some heavy hitters from LA County that are going to share with us what is going on with them and their portfolio and talk about a healing space, which, as you know, is happening Sunday from 12 to 4 in Irvin Magic Johnson Park. Always happy when I have a partner in politics in the house, and today it is Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn. He is an HBCU grad, a dedicated community activist, a member of the 100 Black Men, and a papa. Good morning, Attorney Person-Lynn.
Good morning, Dominique. Thanks so much for having me this morning.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. I love when you come in because we don't agree on everything. Like, we agree on a lot of stuff, and then we disagree on other stuff. So it makes for lively conversation.
Yeah, it really does.
And I think, we can't be afraid to be friends and colleagues with people that we're, like, not in lockstep with on everything.
Yeah, and the thing is that I think overall there's an old saying that, friends, allies are temporary. Your opposition is temporary, but your issues are permanent. And I think on the more permanent issues, we agree on most things.
That is true.
And so everything else, it's enjoyable to have a discourse.
Especially, you just need another person with a big brain. You need a person with a big brain and some strong opinions. And Attorney Person-Lynn, you are one of those. I always like to start with what's good. Congratulations to you and your wife on a healthy baby.
Yeah, man. We had to do it epic. I guess if I was going to start having children, it couldn't just be normal. I had to do 2 in 2022. And so she came on the last day in the last 5 hours of the year. My daughter.
Wow, so they were both born in 2022.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day. So tomorrow, Jaaye Person-Lynn becomes 11 months. And then December 31st, New Year's Eve, is Roshi Audrey Rose Person-Lynn.
Wow, she was going to get in 2022.
Man,
you're not going to be a year older than me.
No. Thought about telling them they were twins, but we'll see.
Well, congratulations to you and your wife. It's a major blessing, and I guess you won't be sleeping until 2029, but we shall pray for you. A lot of things that you and I need to talk about specifically. Are so glad to have your legal mind. I'm sure probably one of the biggest announcements of the week was Sheriff Robert Luna on yesterday saying he is going to create a special unit or a special, I guess it's a unit. He's appointing a former federal prosecutor to a new office which is focused on combating LA's deputy gangs. Eileen Decker is going to be serving over that department, and the idea is to, what he says, eradicate all deputy gangs. It sounds good. You know, it's certainly a far cry from what we had with our prior sheriff, who sometimes said there were deputy gangs that he had already eliminated, and sometimes said they never existed.
Yeah. They were just groups or social clubs or something.
Right.
Yeah.
How significant is this, do you think?
I think it is significant, especially if that special prosecutor is going to have autonomy. If they're serving at the leisure of the sheriff, and then, you know, with the sheriff himself, Robert Luna, is kind of an outsider to that department.
Yeah.
But the interworkings of that department, you know, Baca was sheriff for like almost 16 years. Tanaka was his undersheriff for a number of those years. So the majority of people on the job who have been on the job, for the last 20 years or so, which are going to be the higher ranking officials in that office, are from that era and from that line. So you really need a buy-in and an overhaul of management with people you can trust, and it's very difficult to determine. But maybe they can do like how the police do us on the streets, and, you know, before you get a promotion, come in, see your tattoos, see if you have
strip.
any. Yeah.
And then they could have a sheriff's gang database.
Yeah.
That would be different.
Take a picture of all their tattoos, see who got the same tattoos.
Right. I've always thought that at least, you know, to be in upper management in the sheriff's department, you should do a strip search, make sure you don't have, you know, any affiliations of that sort. And this is going to have to be looking at not just the sheriffs on patrol, obviously, but sheriffs inside the prison system.
Yeah, the jails. And a lot of times those are newer sheriffs. Sometimes you have people who have been there for years. They just, the jail is a tough job. You go to one building, you don't see the outside, but it's one of the safer overall. Like, less deputies are going to be harmed or injured in jail than out there on the streets. But man, the abuses just go crazy, and I think that's where the indoctrination starts, there in the jails. This is how we do things. We're in control, and people have just, the stories from just the little things, like when I found out they set their budget based on how many meals they pass out, and then I'm wondering, like, when somebody gets released on their own recognizance, like, why do they have to wait to the end of the day? It could be 9 a.m., judge says they're released on their own recognizance. They don't get out to the end of the day. Well, that's 2 more meals you get to pass out to that person before they're released. So even things like that to show what
that's crazy. I never knew that.
Yeah, what we really need. I've had clients be released OR, taken back to Men's Central, put on a bus, taken to Wayside, put on a bus, brought back, then to be released. And it's like, why would you do that? Well, next year's budget, we had to transfer this many inmates, so we need this much for the budget. And so things like that really need to be looked out, because you can cut out a lot of waste and rearrange those funds to other more productive means.
Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn is in, and you are welcome always. 800-920-1580. It's about engagement, about conversation, dialogue. Disagree without disrespect. Work your brain. That's what we do around here at KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Our Weekly Los Angeles is the largest audited black newspaper in the state of California, with a distribution of over 50,000 copies weekly. Pick up a copy every Thursday to get the latest news on African American communities of LA. You can also keep up with what's going on in Los Angeles and surrounding cities by going to www.ourweekly.com. The Our Weekly website is updated daily with the current news about us and for us. For your advertising needs, Our Weekly offers economical advertising packages to fit your budget. Feel free to call Our Weekly Los Angeles at 323-905-1300 or visit the website at www.ourweekly.com. Our Weekly Los Angeles, reporting news that matters to you.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com /KBLA today.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler. I'm Cookie Serratos, and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze Fruit on the Go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Go, Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
Hey, drop what you're doing and clear your schedules. I heard Kohl's added thousands of new markdowns to clearance. And when I went, I saved up to 70% on so much cool stuff. Like cute home essentials, jeans for my whole fam, a cozy sweater for myself, a pair of boots for my husband, and more. So yeah, don't miss out. Get to Kohl's and thank me later. Select styles up to 70% offer ends February 20th. See store or Kohls.com for details.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station,
and your favorite morning show host.
Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
And, of course, Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn is here with me, and you're welcome in 800-920-1580. We started out talking about Sheriff Luna and this push to get rid of deputy gangs, meaning gang cliques, criminal gangs that are made up of law enforcement officers. One of the things that the sheriff pointed out is that the $55 million in settlements is an incentive that have already been paid by the sheriffs to settle, I guess, these kind of actions by deputies is one of the things that makes this worthwhile. So he's saying it's going to help save money for taxpayers.
Yeah, and that $55 million is money that's paid out. That's not necessarily the total, because the county doesn't, when it gets to trial, you file a lawsuit, the county council doesn't handle those. They hire private firms to defend those lawsuits. So the $55 million is what went out in the settlement, but they might have spent $100,000 per case on the defense attorneys trying to defend that case.
Interesting
so that number
point.
goes up.
Right. So the 55 is just what was paid out to the victims' families or whatever.
Yeah.
But that doesn't include legal costs.
Correct.
So it's probably a lot more than that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, interesting times in our city. Our new sheriff, new mayor, bunch of new folks on the city council. I would say a progressive turn. I'm not saying Luna is a progressive, but overall in governance. So we had a situation in the city council this week where they're trying to figure out how to deal with redistricting, because that tape where we saw the racist, sexist, anti-renter council member Kevin De Leon and his cohorts just talking has pushed the point that we need a different system of redistricting. It should not be up to the city council members. There should be some independent commission. So the fight in city council is, should the state take that over as is proposed by State Senator Maria Elena Durazo, or should it be done by some kind of board or body on the city level? Monica Rodriguez and Kevin De Leon are actually siding with Maria Elena Durazo, saying the state should do this, but City Council President Paul Krikorian and everybody else is trying to keep it in the city. And so, of course, this opens up all the conversation about what was on that tape, what those folks were really trying to do. And I think it is really true what Councilmember Hugo Soto Martinez went off on Kevin De Leon, saying, how are you even talking about this? I'm paraphrasing. When we saw you scheming to override fair redistricting when we heard you on that tape. And then De Leon says, well, no, but, there were hardly any changes that impacted black or brown people. Yeah, but not because you weren't trying.
Yeah.
Right. You were trying, but it just didn't work out that way. So I don't think that's a good argument on KDL's part. Councilmember Harris Dawson tweeted just the word gall during De Leon's comments. How do you see this in terms of what really makes sense? What would be most fair, most impartial?
In theory, it would be the people that the city elected to handle city business would be handling this being city business. The state, my fear on that is that the rest of the state is not like Los Angeles. There's a lot of parts in the state that are not like Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So if you have San Francisco, Oakland, and San Diego dealing with the issue, they're most like us, but that's four cities in this vast state that it takes 14 hours to drive from the top to the bottom. So I would like to see it be a mix of the general public as well as the elected officials here in Los Angeles making that issue, letting it be heard on how it will affect certain issues, certain communities, because the black population is just dwindling here in the city of Los Angeles. So much so you really see it when it comes to jury selection at downtown jurors, where you had the OJ case where like half the jurors were black and in the jury pool, and now you get a jury pool of 80 and you might have 2 or 3 black people in that jury pool. So
do you think it means that there are fewer of us, or that fewer of us are doing jury duty? I mean, because it's so much more expensive to live in LA.
Yeah.
If you got 2 and 3 jobs, and those jobs are not going to be covered when you do jury duty, are you less likely to do it now? Or is it really our population? I know our population of black people in the United States, I was talking about this yesterday, has really jumped, even though it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
But a lot of those are also, they're African and Caribbean immigrants. Nevertheless, the black population has skyrocketed. At the same time, front page LA Times today about how everyone's moving out of California.
Yeah, and I think that's it. And so many people, move to Vegas, move to the Inland Empire.
Right.
And so Los Angeles City, from the last time I checked, I think in like the 90s when the OJ case happened, black people were like 17% of the city. Now it's my understanding we're less than 10%.
We were that much back then? I wasn't here.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
I mean, I think it's like 7 or 8%. Yeah, now.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was so much larger at that time.
Yeah, it really went down. And so that's where
Everybody's in the
really gonna
IE.
affect. Yeah, IE, Texas, Nevada.
Yeah.
Just-
And the data now are showing that people are moving to Texas and Florida.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope you change Texas and Florida more than they change you. Well, I'm just saying, because those are really states with, as mainstream media says, fraught racial histories.
Yeah. Yeah.
In other words,
though.
some racist places, right?
Public. I mean, even with the governor of Florida's doing, and I know we're local, but with the Black history and the critical race theory, it's just showing the overt racism, whereas here in
Right.
California we have a much more covert version of it.
Covert, but also deadly.
Yes, very.
You might not, you might think it's not here, and then you find yourself dead or in jail.
Yeah,
or beat up.
Or you can't get that loan.
Right.
They won't sell you the building, won't give you that liquor license to open up a nice spot. Just all of those different things that I see as more of my friends are getting into that entrepreneurship leading space. It's very difficult for black people to make economic moves here in Los Angeles.
What's amazing is that so many are.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
despite it all.
Yeah, I mean, I see that. It's one of the things that cheers me up within this season of gentrification is just seeing black businesses open up and African Americans buying buildings, houses. It seems to me we are pushing back in a way that some other places have not.
Yeah, and it's a good thing, and we can't be afraid of the progress. Man, I just used the K line the other day, and it was so convenient for what I needed in that moment. And so I appreciate that. But it is important that we get on top of that, and we do, and we have to support those businesses that come. So the restaurants, the GS just reopened under the name 719, and you can take the K line to there and get home pretty safely and quickly. But the district, Alta Adams, the the historical ones, the Harold and Bells, and we just have to keep supporting.
Is Alta Adams black owned? I thought that was fake black owned.
No, it's it's like how Douce Liquor, Jay-Z has like an ownership stake. So Keith has an ownership stake as well as he's the executive chef of the restaurant, but he does have an ownership stake. It's not 100% black owned.
Got it. Okay, let's go to Carl calling us from Los Angeles. Good morning, Carl. You may have to ask your question or make the first part of your comment and complete it on the other side of news, traffic, and sports, but I wanted to get you in. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, your show was interesting yesterday with that lawyer. Hey, my question is today is there's a sheriff named Sheriff Chad Bunko or something over there in Riverside County, and he's picking on this judge, Cora D. Henderson, I think that's her name, and he's trying to get her fired, blaming her for that deputy sheriff that got shot by that white supremacist. I mean, they knew that white supremacist was out there. They knew he had warrants out for his arrest. They didn't go to his house and arrest him like they do everybody else and kick their door in. I mean, is the NAACP, the Urban League, going to go and help this sister? I mean, I'm at the bottom. I can't speak up and say nothing for her, but there's people her caliber that can say something about it's not her fault. I mean, most of these sheriff deputies out there, San Bernardino, Fontana, and Highway Patrol, they're relatives to all the motorcycle hell angels, all these cats that out there with that meth and stuff. But they trying to blame their sister. I mean, what's going on with that? How can they get, let her keep her job? I don't see it as her fault. I mean, you put a house up, you put money up to bail out of jail. That's the law. Anybody can do it. You have a right to that.
Okay, we're going to address this. I want to hear what Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn has to say about all you're saying after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Thank you for joining us on this Thursday. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A suspected Chinese spy balloon that was shot down after it crossed over the U.S. may have been aiming for Hawaii. A U.S. official told Reuters on Wednesday that the balloon had a trajectory that would have taken it over Guam and Hawaii, but that it was blown off course by prevailing winds. In Mississippi, a federal civil rights investigation has been launched into the case of two black men who claim that they were brutally attacked by Rankin County Sheriff's deputies during a drug raid. A lawyer representing 32-year-old Michael Jenkins and 35-year-old Eddie Parker allege the raid was conducted without a warrant. In addition, Malik Shabazz says Jenkins was shot in the mouth while he was handcuffed. The investigation is now being headed up by the FBI. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and my company is Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 to provide custom blinds, shades, and shutters at affordable prices. Our blinds are easy to install and shipping is free. Don't hire an expensive professional. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers get a much-needed win last night heading into the All-Star break. They beat New Orleans by 18. LeBron played for the first time with his new teammates, D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. LeBron and Russell finished with 21 points each and combined for 13 assists. Big night for Anthony Davis, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 block shots. The Clippers are at Phoenix tonight. They won't see Kevin Durant. Durant is recovering from a sprained knee. He'll make his debut with the Suns after the All-Star break. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
Aaron at Original Taco Pete's. Come in today for our tasty seasoned black taco. We're at 3272 West Slauson, off Crenshaw, or call 323-348-4441.
The Millionaires Roundtable with Lynn Richardson is creating millionaires one family, one day, $1, $1 at a time. KBLA Talk 1580 will be celebrating Black History Month Wealth with Lynn Richardson live on Wednesday, February 22nd at the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon in Leimert Park. Come check out the space. This location has been a bank branch for over 44 years and is now a community center. It provides resources and education to help the community with money goals, home ownership, and entrepreneurship. You and a guest guests can win lunch with Lynn Richardson February 22nd. Go to KBLA1580.com or the KBLA 1580 mobile app today and register. See you there.
Hi, I'm Ariva Martin, and I'm the host of the new drive time show, Ariva Martin in Real Time, on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm also a mother and a child advocate, and when my son Marty was diagnosed with autism, I was devastated. I knew I had to do something, so I started the Special Needs Network, and for over 15 years, we have been helping families with children with autism. Now, through a new program called CORE, we can help you. We can help you take your career to the next level by training you to become an early childhood interventionist, working with children ages 0 to 3. The CORE program will pay you $25 an hour while you are in training, pay off $10,000 of your student loan debt, and help you find a good paying job. Call 323-291-7100 or visit snnla.org to learn how you can become a CORE fellow and take your career to the next level. Don't hesitate. Apply today.
Did you know that California has the first in the nation task force to study reparations for African Americans? The work of the task force is to examine and recommend to the state legislature potential remedies of compensation, rehabilitation, and restitution for African Americans, with a special consideration for the descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. The task force has been hosting public hearings across the state to create awareness and educate the public. Be part of history and join them for public comment from 9 to 10 a.m. on March 3rd and 4th in Sacramento at the next Reparations Task Force meeting. For more information, visit the California Department of Justice website at oag.ca.gov. That's oag.ca.gov. Or you can send them an email from the website. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, Carl didn't stay on the line, but he brought up a case, Attorney Person-Lynn, regarding this Judge Cara Hudson. This is in Chino, a city council, and it's not just he's talking about their sheriff, Chad Bianco, Riverside County Sheriff, and that he's calling for the removal of this black woman judge because they're claiming that her lowering the bail of one particular defendant led to the shootout between the defendant and a sheriff's deputy because they're claiming that the defendant didn't have incentive to go back to court because his bail was lowered. They're calling for her removal. They're trying to engage the state lawmakers to also call for her removal.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a ridiculous request. Ultimately, she reduces bail to $500,000. That's what he had bailed out on, $500,000. That is not a low bail.
No, it isn't.
That is, he was not, and though he was eligible under California three strikes law to be sentenced to life, that's not where we were going. His last offense, he was acquitted of the kidnapping, convicted of the false imprisonment. False imprisonment sounds horrible. It's not a serious charge. Kidnapping is. False imprisonment is like you're having an argument. And you're like, no, I don't want you to go. Let's finish this argument. Well, that could be a false imprisonment. And so based on that kind of offense, more than likely he was not going to be struck out anyway. So had she sentenced him and struck his prior strikes, he could have been out in 2 to 3 years anyway. So really, it's there's hundreds, maybe even thousands of people who are let out on a reduced bond who do not reoffend ever. And so we need to point that out and not make these rash decisions based on one particular case where a judge reduced the bail to $500,000. And if that was the case, then if he was being consistent in his logic, then when one of his deputies does something wrong, makes a false arrest, then they should step down or he should step down. But I don't think he's going to be that consistent with his logic.
To be clear, this guy, William Shea McKay, shot and killed a motorcycle deputy, Isaiah Cordero, and that is terrible. I mean, you don't want anyone to lose their life. They were chasing him. I don't believe in law enforcement chases. I think, you're going to catch the person. You've got a helicopter. Why do you need to chase them and put the public at risk? And in this case, the deputy. That said, here's my concern. Even the mayor is jumping on board, calling for this judge to be fired, if you will, Mayor Eunice Uloa. But here's the thing. If law enforcement controls judges, we don't have a fair justice system.
Exactly.
If law enforcement gets to say, I don't like your decision, you're fired, no matter what the outcome, life or death, love it or hate it, to me, that's beyond scary.
Yeah, and that is what happens in the Inland Empire in San Bernardino and Riverside counties. It's been my experience that the sheriff is the big dog in the county. San Bernardino County, one year they were restructuring, the sheriff's department was restructuring its contract and didn't like the way negotiations were going. So they just stopped bringing inmates to court in the morning. So everybody, if you had a client in custody, you couldn't hear your case till the afternoon. So it just slowed up the whole process, kind of forcing the county's hand to.
That seems illegal.
Yes, it is. And but that's what we're looking at out there in those counties where the sheriff's department, there's not as much oversight, and there's a whole lot of power, and there's a whole lot of constituents that believe that that's the way things should go.
Right, like the old cowboy movies. I mean,
yeah.
There's significant, research showing that there is a network of those cowboy hat wearing small town sheriffs that are operating in a parallel universe.
Yeah.
And I know part of what happened with Villanueva was he thought he could do that in L.A. and it doesn't work here.
Yeah.
But that said, it shouldn't work in the Antelope Valley. It shouldn't work in the Inland Empire, and that's why the people have formed organizations like Cancel the Contract. We see the same thing happening in Compton, which isn't that far away.
Yeah.
Where they're functioning as if this was the Old West and the sheriff gets to make the laws. And I think anything that moves in that direction, including the idea that law enforcement can decide which judges get to stay and which get to go, is a huge, huge problem.
Yeah, it is. But based on what I've seen judges get away with, I doubt at all there's any serious consideration for this judge being taken off the bench for these actions. Everyone that's making the fuss, they don't have the authority. Maybe they can vote her out in the next election when she's up for re-election, but ultimately they don't have the authority based on her doing something within her power to do.
When you say things judges get away with, you want to give me an example?
I had, one judge, my client was 5 minutes late the last day of trial, right before he was set to testify. It was just, a little hiccup, but at the end of the day, it didn't delay anything. The judge in our case was handling 2 other courtrooms, so there were a lot of matters to hear before we commenced trial. But when he found out my client was 5 minutes late, he stopped everything he was doing, remanded my client to custody, then finished. The judge was 45 minutes late from the time that he stated, but put my client right in custody right before trial, kicked his kids out the courtroom when they started crying, and it was just like horrendous that you would do this to somebody who's never been late. This is like the 6th, 7th day of trial, and it really penalized my client and prejudiced my client, who was set to take the stand to defend himself, and now he has to consider this while in custody. Our preparation was different on how we would have prepared. I mean, we had prepared prior, but that day you do your final tune-ups, and we just didn't have that opportunity because he was in custody. And so just seeing something like that has such a large impact for such a minor act, to me, was a gross violation of this judge's discretion. But, nothing happened to him, even though he affected a criminal proceeding in such a way.
Well, let's at least start the conversation about Juneteenth. You brought this up, hadn't crossed my mind. Why are you thinking about Juneteenth already in February?
Well, it's Black History Month, which is a great celebration, but Juneteenth is like the actual holiday, that's to me that's the first step that the nation has taken at reconciliation, is honoring that particular day. Even though I really enjoyed it when I would take the day off and everybody else would have to work. 'Cause y'all didn't go through this, but it's interesting because in the first couple of years it was always on the weekend. Now we have the big festival. It's getting to the week. That Monday, Juneteenth, banks will be closed, courts will be closed. And so it's interesting, and I was just thinking about how the festival is going to go this year. Will it be on Saturday the 17th, the 18th? But it looks like it's going to be on Monday the 19th, and that'll be great for people to have that day off but still have something to do and a place to come together.
Right. I mean,
celebrate.
if it's not one Juneteenth festival, it'll be another. I mean, if you look at MLK celebrations, right, they're typically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all week prior. And I don't think we're quite there yet with Juneteenth, but I can imagine some cities will do Saturday, some will do Sunday, some will do Monday. And so we'll have probably parties that we can go to or festivals we can attend all weekend long.
Nice Juneteenth weekend with the long weekend with that Monday off. So I'm looking forward to it. It's just exciting, and then people planning out their weekends and when they want to do shows, where they want to do them. It's exciting.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I hadn't thought about it, but this is going to be somewhat of a test, too, to see who's observant, even though it's a national holiday. So whether your job gives you the day off or not, you ain't going to the bank.
Exactly.
Or the post office.
Courthouse, none of that. So, but that is going to be interesting because it is a new, these businesses plan out their years sometimes 2, 3, 4 years in advance. And if that wasn't on their list to take off, it's going to be interesting. And now they'd have to pay that holiday pay if they do require people to work.
Okay, so when we come forward, the police chief in Oakland got fired, I think yesterday or the day before. And also Culver City has passed a ban on outdoor camping. I want to get your take on both of these interesting developments when we continue on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every day.
Not just 1 month a year.
Honoring our past, representing the present, charting our future. We're unapologetically progressive. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Freedmen's Bureau type agency will be essential in delivering reparations. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by Lendistry. The members of the California Task Force to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans are preparing the pretext for recommending a modern-day Freedmen's Bureau that will be critical for compensating descendants of enslaved Black people for the injustices of slavery and Jim Crow discrimination they suffered. It will serve as a main office or headquarters with specialized offices and branches dedicated to addressing specific atrocities that have snowballed over generations.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com. CORPS.com. California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com.
The U.S. premiere of the official Bob Marley One Love Experience has arrived in Los Angeles. Open now through April 23rd at Ovation Hollywood on the corner of Hollywood and Highland. Tickets start at $20 plus fees and are available at BobMarleyEXP.com. That's BobMarleyEXP.com. Get your tickets today.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler.
I'm Cookie Serratos and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze Fruit on the Go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Go, Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
On the mic with me this morning, Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn, and I forget your socials, but let's give them out. I follow you, but
Yes.
is it Lincoln Lawyer?
Lincoln Lawyer LA on Instagram, and just Jaaye Person-Lynn on Facebook. And I'm not really on Twitter, but Jaaye ESQ.
And also, you do some Clubhouse, right?
Yeah, not as much anymore because there's
two babies.
There's something always either keeping me quiet or keeping my attention in the form of those two babies. So not as much, but I check in when I can.
I mean, that's when I stopped being such a big sports watcher, when I had a baby. Anyway, so we talk about this police chief. His name is LaRon Armstrong, African-American man, fired by the new Oakland mayor, Sheng Thao, Wednesday. Because she's saying that he's not handling misconduct well. Apparently, there were a couple of incidents that happened where no public statement was made. Yeah. It's interesting. The two incidents they're talking about: a sergeant crashing his vehicle into another car and then driving away, and then the same sergeant firing inside a freight elevator. I mean, if two incidents like that caused a police chief to be fired in L.A., we would have a police chief for 10 minutes.
Yeah. But, it's apparently those two incidents made it to the federal judge that's overseeing the consent decree and took them out of compliance. So there were eyes outside of the city looking that kind of, I understand politically, kind of forced their hand. But as I was reading the article, there was a officer that stepped in to be the acting chief, and 2 days after he stepped in, he stepped down due to a sex scandal. So there's some things going on in the Oakland Police Department.
Oakland is in struggle mode. Their homicide rate is way higher than Los Angeles, and I think they've been through a lot of police chiefs.
Yeah, the article said that the chief that was fired was the 7th since 2016, and counting the 16, it's like 8 years. We're in the 8th year, and 7 chiefs of police. I'm wondering how they get any continuity with all of that.
I mean, that's a police chief a year, basically.
Yes.
And who's going to want to step into that job knowing that it's such a revolving door? The thing is, I know, they are facing a lot of challenges. Oakland is a very small city. It's not a wealthy city. Shout out to my Bay Area friends. And it has a very high rate of violence. Yeah. A lot of gentrification going on. Some of the gang violence, from my understanding, is part of the issue. But then the pandemic, the spike in family violence, domestic violence, they've got every type of violence going on, that every category.
Yeah, while being surrounded, by the Silicon Valley and all that money up there in the tech world, it's got to be hard. I know it's hard down here in L.A. to see the Hollywood industry and all that it generates be so close to areas that are impoverished, and just seeing the Bentleys and the Ferraris every day.
Bentley's intense.
Knowing that you can't access it has to be hard for people. So there's a lot going on in the state, but I know in Oakland, like here in Los Angeles, the cost of living is just skyrocketing. So there's a lot that goes into it.
And you wonder about Oakland has been under federal oversight for 20 years.
Yes.
That's a long consent decree.
Yeah.
When we come forward, we want to talk about Culver City. I just want to get your legal mind, your take on this ban on outdoor camping, and could it be the future of the region? It's KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Hi, it's me, Gia Peppers. Tune in to More Than That live on radio this weekend or wherever you listen to podcasts. This week, I'm talking to Tina Meeks, content creator behind Her Life Sparkles, and Grammy Award-winning artist and radio host Erica Campbell about the messy yet rewarding truth of trying to have it all. This episode of More Than That is brought to you by Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
The moment that he, was growing inside of me, it was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I want to be here. I want to be present, and I'll figure that out however it comes. So, bye military.
Bye military.
I'm going to be a mom now.
What are some of the biggest pieces of advice you would give to someone about having it all? What do you define that as, to have it all?
To have it all is it's relative, because what all means to me isn't going to be the same for Gia or the next woman. What makes you happy? What is your thing? What is going to spark your joy? And then create a plan and, reverse engineer how you're going to work toward that. You the only one that got to wake up and be happy with what you have going on. So what does having it all look like for you?
What did I learn from the women that raised me? So much. I learned the good and the bad. I watched it all. They dealt with all kinds of things, divorce, financial issues, and still they would come and still be on. Mm-hmm. They knew how to carry their mess. And what I love about my faith is you say having it all. Yeah, I have it all, right? I have it all. I got the good and the bad. I got all the mess, but all the love. I got all the dreams, but all the nightmares. You have it all. When you have it all, you got to sort it out. How do I sort this out? What do I do when and where? What is the right time? What is the right place? Because people look and they say, oh my God, you have it all. I got it all right.
KBLA Talk 1580 would like to thank all of the businesses that tune into KBLA at work. We celebrate you, your calls to the station, and your overall support. To show our appreciation, we would like to treat your office to lunch for 10, sponsored by John O'Groats family-owned restaurant and johnogroats.us. Open the KBLA Talk 1580 app or log on to KBLA1580.com to submit your office to be selected for our Office of the Week. We know you're just like our staff, putting in many hard, smart working hours per week. We just want to say thank you, and we appreciate you. You and your staff deserve lunch on us. Enter your office to win lunch for 10 and be highlighted on KBLA Talk 1580 as our Office of the Week. Open the KBLA app or log on to KBLA1580.com to enter your office today to become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week. Sponsored by John O'Groats family-owned restaurant and johnogroats.us. Become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week. This has been a KBLA Talk 1580 community call to action. Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn is with me, and I just want to get your legal thoughts on this Culver City ban. They've banned camping in public places. It was divided, council 3-2. They say they're not going to enforce it until certain protections are in place, a safe camping site opens and all that, but we'll see about that. And some claim this is a response to the activity around Safer Inside that's happening in Los Angeles with Mayor Bass's aggressive moves to try to stop the crisis of houselessness.
Yes, and it's there's so many factors when we talk about this, because people, if you're like paranoid of others and now you're living in an apartment building, every time you step outside, you're swearing these people are recording you. Now these people might not, they could just be outside talking on their phone. Now you're attacking them because you think they're recording you. A lot of people have had situations like those or similar due to their mental health issues that make it easier for them, as depraved as it might sound to us, to live outside and more comfortable for them to live outside. And that's the issue that really needs addressing, because if we're going to put 73 units somewhere, especially if they're in close proximity with people with these issues, then that's going to create its own problem. But I do understand the just how it looks, seeing so many. They just cleared one on Western, just south of Manchester, that had maybe 10, 15 tents by the Bank of America that used to be there. They just cleared that up, and it does look a whole lot nicer. So I understand aesthetically, especially in Culver City, them not wanting that.
But the question is it constitutional? Is it legal? And also, I think the bigger question is, what do you do when you clear those encampments? Are you trashing people's belongings? Are you off? Do you actually have a place to offer them, which many times we haven't in the past?
No, we haven't, and that's why I think Culver City is not trying to even enforce it until these other milestones are met, because they know that would, I think it would be violative of the First Amendment without some other kind of option.
Just about a minute here. An L.A. County Sheriff's deputy was charged with murder and other counts based on a 2021 high-speed, off-duty crash. This was in Southgate. A 12-year-old boy died in this incident. An L.A. County DA, George Gascon, said the deputy had a long history of speeding in traffic wrecks. He's 28-year-old Deputy Ricardo Castro.
And see, that's I think that just goes to the mindset. It sounds like he's chasing somebody down and he's off duty. That goes to this mindset when you let law enforcement, because these aren't, and no disrespect to them, but most of them aren't like intellectuals, right? They didn't study deeply and go far in their thoughts. So they're like dealing with what's right in front of them, like the most of us. But when you give someone of that much power to think that they can be this authority over other people at all times, you're going to have situations like this. You're going to have situations where the guy was gunned down in the Costco a little while back by an off-duty LAPD officer. You're going to have those situations because the mindset that society has accepted is that law enforcement is in control. But it sounds like George Gascon is fighting back against that with this filing as a murder charge at that. It probably won't go to trial for some time, but I'm interested to see how it's played out. And it may not, if I'm the defense attorney, if I'm the defense attorney, I might try and wait till after the next election to see if Gascon remains in, to see if we get a more law enforcement friendly DA in there that might change the charge or something like that.
Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn, thank you so much.
It's truly my pleasure. Truly.
News, traffic, and sports, then more.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The young man who fatally shot 10 black people in Buffalo, New York last year is now apologizing for what he did. Before 19-year-old Peyton Gendron was sentenced on Wednesday, he said he did a terrible thing last May